Roger that.
It wasn't just Cypher. Back in the Caribbean, every eye in the world was turned on us. A private army, just a bunch of guys with guns, in possession of a nuke? Why wouldn't they be uncomfortable?
And that's why you made sure the inspection happened.
Well, I thought our best move was to prove to the UN through the IAEA that we had no nuke. Of course, I was against us having it in the first place, but that was Snake's decision.
The boss wasn't responsible.
Well, don't get me wrong, I still believed in Snake. I thought I was making the best decision for all of us, that's all. I figured we should get a third party to exonerate us before proof of the nuke did get out. And who better to do that than an organization with international authority?
So the truth is, you took it upon yourself to agree to an inspection arranged by the UN. Only the inspection was a ruse, and Cypher's strike force XOF showed up instead.
I had no idea that would happen.
Enough bullshit.
Oh, sure, like I could have known. You know, I was just trying to prove our innocence to the world. What's wrong with that?
We're not interested in the excuses you thought up. The truth is objective.
Just see it from my point of view.
On va être obligé d'attendre
XOF to the control tower.
comment une des cassettes soit terminée, non?
Giving them
Vous allez.
complete control over the base. Moments later, they detonated C4 on the strut legs. Anyone who'd managed to survive was hunted down by the assault force and their choppers.
You can't believe I did that on purpose.
That was the end of Mother Base. But it wasn't the end for you.
How can you... Look, think about it. I lost something too. I built Zeke and it got buried underwater. I am a victim.
That raises the big questions. Why were you the only one spared? You got away without a scratch. Why did Strangelove leave the base on the eve of the
Voilà, ces noms
inspection?
Strangelove, tout ça, c'est des noms,
Strangelove?
des noms
And how did you manage
qui
to
sont dans
build
Peace
something
Walker,
that
hein,
surpasses
comme
Zeke
Paz
in
Ortega,
every way?
tout ça.
Because you did everything they told you.
C'est pour ça que si vous me suivez, vous les connaissez pas, si vous avez jamais fait Peace Walker.
Is the truth.
I was taken away against my will. Skullface forced me to do his research these past 9 years. He used me.
Je crois qu'elle va être
I
chiante en plus cette
lost
mission là qu'on
9
va faire.
years.
9 years. We all lost 9 years. It wasn't just you.
I suppose blaming me makes you feel better, does it? But who's gonna give me back all the time I lost?
You're not getting anything back.
You're not a victim here, Emmerich. You're the perpetrator.
I didn't know anything.
Nobody can back that up.
Yeah, all the evidence is at the bottom of the ocean.
Hop. Donc, il faudra qu'on fasse les recherches d'Emeric pour les soviétiques. On commence à partir de là. Allez, on va accepter la mission. Un ange aux ailes brisées. Angel with broken wings. Épisode 10. C'est parti.
Your mission is to rescue a prisoner being held at Lamarchate Palace. He's known as Malak, angel to his fellow Mujahideen. Start by checking the target's VI on your iDroid. The Soviets captured him and took him to the ruins of the palace. His family was subsequently killed in an airstrike on his village. The Soviet scorched earth operation wiped it off the map. The client is none other than his father. Or rather, this was his father's dying wish. If you can manage to rescue other prisoners as well, each one will add a bonus to our pay. When you see them, I'm sure your conscience will tell you what to do.
Ok, extrayer le prisonnier Mujahideen. C'est à 400. Je vais vous faire écouter la cassette de briefing aussi surtout.
The
objective is to rescue and extract a mujahid captured by the Soviets. He's being held in the ruins of Lamarhati Palace, as are a lot of POWs. Civilians, guerrillas, suspected guerrillas. The Soviets have turned the place into their own black site. However, we've only been asked to rescue one of the prisoners. He's known as Malak, angel to his fellow mujahideen.
On va essayer d'extraire le maximum de prisonniers possibles qu'il y aura. C'est quoi ça, c'est un oiseau? On va essayer de l'avoir d'ici. Yes. Donc voici cette base. Ah, bonjour. Bonjour vous. Comment allez-vous?
Enemy presence detected. The map has been updated.
Ici il va y avoir du people. Il va y avoir du char aussi.
Analysis complete. Analysis complete. Analysis complete. Analysis complete. Analysis complete. Analysis complete.
On va essayer de repérer le plus possible. Je sais que dans le bâtiment ici on a. Mais on les voit pas forcément. Je crois qu'il faut se dépêcher parce que sinon ils vont buter les ils vont buter les prisonniers, je crois.
Analysis complete. Analysis complete.
Pas traîner.
Extraction. Multi-base.
Target should be somewhere at that outpost.
Alors les cassettes, on y retourne.
You know the hardest man to break. The type who's fooling himself. That takes time. It's easier to live a convenient lie than a painful truth. Is that the piece you've chosen, Doc?
I'm not lying.
Analysis complete.
Of course. Just let me check one or two things. On that day, you were in the control tower with them. Lucky
Ça va
you.
pas être simple cette mission. je vous le
That's
dis.
how you got out unscathed. And you escaped on one of their choppers. Only you, right before the base went under.
They had me blindfolded the whole time. I've never been so scared. The whole flight I thought they'd kill me. But thinking of you kept me going. My comrades, all the way.
And
There was a plane journey, and then we traveled by road. When they finally took off the blindfold, I was in kind of a warehouse, on the floor. Afghanistan, it was that research lab. I couldn't believe they'd taken me halfway around the world. And soon enough, he came.
Skullface.
He's the one who's really behind that mother base attack. He forced me into that research.
What kind of research?
He told me
the target is at Lamarhati Palace. He's a POW of the Soviets. Check your iDroid for the location.
system that could fire an ICBM-class nuclear weapon. That's how the Sahelanthropus project got started.
Et du coup voilà, ils vont l'emmener ailleurs,
Those
ce que je
AI
craignais.
weapons I'd made in Costa Rica were like toys by comparison. A whole world apart from
C'est ce que je
reptilian
craignais.
four-legged crawling and that ridiculous hunched-over bipedal waddling. My design evolved. To the dawn of mankind, Sahelanthropus,
Wow.
the first steps towards humanity. An upright bipedal weapon system.
Analysis
Originally, Sahelanthropus was going to be a manned weapons platform. I designed a cockpit in its head, and I
On voit
planned
où
to
sont les
fill it
prisonniers.
with water as a buffering agent.
Analysis
Like how Paz
complete.
modified Zeke for human control.
Don't compare me to some amateur.
Ah, là-haut.
I designed it for human control from the beginning. The problem was miniaturizing the posture control AI. You remember the reptile pod?
The AI that controlled your unmanned weapons.
At attaching it externally makes it vulnerable. So this time I wanted it beneath the armor, meaning I had to make the AI smaller. I got it down to less than a tenth the size without any loss in computation speed. But it was still too big for the cockpit. There wasn't enough room for the pilot. If I made the head bigger, its body would have to be bigger to support it. Too big to be practical. In the end, human piloting was taken off the table. I tested a remote control system too, but there was the time lag and I wasn't satisfied with its precision either. Plus, it would be useless if the enemy jammed it. So next, I went back to trying an AI-only system. To do that, I had the AI pods recovered from Nicaragua. This was a hybrid AI, a combination of Peace Walker's reptile and mammal pods. The only AIs that had ever successfully operated an unmanned nuclear weapons system.
Really? You'd need some help to get that working. Expert help.
Did you work with someone?
I worked
Mais
alone.
non, putain.
You did that yourself.
Well, that's the thing. The AI didn't pan out
Putain,
in the
ça me
end
casse les
either.
couilles ça.
But I did
T'as le temps
finally get
de rien faire,
walking by
ce
folding
jeu.
over its upper body to lower its center of gravity. The first upright bipedal locomotive weapon system in the history of mankind.
Tiens.
I guess technically it falls into the anthropoid ape category.
Complete.
I don't see the benefit of having it stand
Vite avant qu'il te
taller.
bute toi aussi.
On terrain with significant differences in elevation like Afghanistan, you need a body that's vertically adaptable. That also lets it attack from long range while using mountain ridges for cover. So, making it walk upright was the most important factor in giving it superior height capability. As the name suggests, that was the whole point of Sahelanthropus. But I was being pushed for results.
Je me suis fait repérer mais je m'en bats les couilles. Je voulais pas qu'il le bute.
The target Malak was sent to a different outpost.
Tempête de sable.
I've sent the
Nickel.
information to your map screen. You're gonna need
Nickel.
more information to pinpoint a location.
The idea of AI control and took Sahelanthropus away from me before I could finish it.
But it was walking when it came after you.
That's just it. I don't understand how Skullface got it to move upright, without a pilot or an AI. And walking at that speed, too. It's beyond anything I could have imagined. This is like the Wright brothers making it to the moon. I'm just as clueless as you are.
So this Sahelanthropus, where is it now?
I have no idea. All my experiments took place at that cave. I've never seen it anywhere else. Besides, it's still just an incomplete prototype at this point and nothing but a paper tiger.
Faut attendre que la tempête de sable s'arrête, parce qu'avec 40% de chances que ça réussisse, on va éviter.
Emmerich will remain here at Mother Base for now, but not as a member of Diamond Dogs. I still don't trust him. That work for you?
Fine by me. He can't be allowed any contact with staff either.
Yeah. A lot of the guys would love
Bon,
some
elle est longue la
feedback from 9
tempête
years
de
ago.
sable par contre.
We still need him alive.
Il y a un diamant là.
But we have to restrict his movements. He can only go where we tell him. And of course, the interrogations will continue. He worked for that skull bastard for nearly a decade. He still
Ouais,
has more to tell
on va
us.
voir là.
How long are we gonna press him?
If our investigation shows he really had nothing to do with the attack, we'll reconsider his place here. But I don't expect that to happen. Remember that water tank-shaped object in Emmerich's lab in the Soviet base camp? The thing that started talking to you like a possessed answering machine. That was a pod built for housing the AI used to control unmanned weapons. You remember, back in '74 in Costa Rica. It was in those machines you fought there. They were designated Pupa, Chrysalis, Cocoon, and Basilisk, and each of them was fitted with an AI unit called a reptile pod. Emmerich created it. It mainly handled the machine's posture control and autonomous behavior. But the Basilisk, aka Peace Walker, also featured a second AI pod. That one was called the Mammal Pod, and it was created by Dr. Strangelove. She tried to recreate the boss's personality through the Mammal Pod, but you pulled out its memory boards. That's when it transferred its own functions to its reptile pod. Just like a human brain compensating for damage by using the remaining healthy parts. The result was a unique entity, a hybrid of the reptile and the mammal.
It sank to the bottom of Lake Nicaragua with Peace Walker. But apparently they salvaged it and transported it to that lab. Don't let it deceive you, Snake. It may sound like the boss,
Analysis
but it
complete.
has neither a personality nor a will. Like Emmerich says, it's just a machine.
Attendez. Oh, c'est bon. Parce que le chat il allait dégueuler sur mon lit, là, j'allais l'allumer. Ah, c'est ça en train de lécher ses poils et tout là. Bon, j'ai bientôt plus de batterie sur mon PC portable, hein, je vous avais dit. Hein. Tu te casses, s'il te plaît. Allez, barre-toi. Ah, merci.
Lie down. Speak.
Okay, your map information's updated.
C'est bon, on a l'information.
The map has been updated.
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
Ok.
Analysis complete.
He's coming too. Roger that. You gonna extract him?
Ça, on peut toujours pas extraire. Hein, ça. Il a un casque. Il va être relou.
Analysis complete.
Alors je peux l'extraire ici? Ah ouais. Hop. Après on va aller fouiller un peu cette zone là.
Subject on board. Leave the rest to us.
On a vu tout à l'heure qu'il y avait un diamant quelque part. Ah, puis faudra qu'on explose le truc aussi.
Spit it out.
The map has been updated.
Tout est nul. Chut. Hop là, qu'est-ce que tu fais toi garçon? Qu'est-ce que tu fais garçon? Il est fou lui.
Spit it out.
Ok,
The map has been updated.
un autre ici. Il a eu chaud. On a eu très très chaud. Je savais plus qu'il en restait un encore.
Spit it out.
Ok, les diamants, ça m'intéresse.
The map has been updated.
Vite la musique. Non, flûte. Il passe. Ils sont pas les couilles. Ok. Ah. Voilà.
Outpost captured.
Toi. Merde. Voilà.
Has been updated.
On va pouvoir faire péter les trucs. Non, c'est pas ça que je veux, c'est ça.
You destroyed their anti-air radar?
The map
It wasn't one of the targets, but that's put a hole in their air surveillance. The chopper will be able to get in close now. You can designate a landing zone near the outpost.
Ok.
Sun will
On va pouvoir
rise
fouiller.
momentarily.
He's coming too. Roger that.
C'est quoi dedans? C'est quoi ça? Ah bonjour. Bonjour le rat. Je te libère le rat. T'es sauvé. Ah tu veux pas partir? Tu veux rejoindre la Diamond Dogs Family? Ok. Hop. Du coup, alors sur la carte, ça allait plus vite. On a matériaux,
Marker placed. Marker placed.
ok, ça c'est bon. Ok, let's go.
You have arrived at your destination.
Hop. On a des trucs en haut. Puis ensuite on ira voir le prisonnier là, ce qu'ils l'ont
You
emmené.
have arrived at your destination.
Je sais plus si je vous ai dit, le PC s'est éteint. Du coup je vais aller sur mon téléphone portable. Voilà. Désolé s'il y avait des messages. Donc ici c'est bon. Il nous reste là. Ah, c'est en bas. C'est en bas. Mais les diamants, je sais pas où est-ce qu'ils sont par contre, les diamants. Bah, c'est où? Je suis perdu. Ok, c'était là. Et c'est tout comme diamant, je suis sûr qu'il y avait un diamant en haut. Il y a un ennemi là-bas, on s'en fout. Il me semble qu'il y avait un diamant en haut, mais bon, apparemment non. Apparemment non. Ici il y a quelque chose, je sais. Je vais quand même essayer de terminer la mission. Hein. Je vais pas vous laisser là. Je vais quand même essayer de terminer la mission. Alors, faites voir. Ok, c'est là. C'est ici. En plus, j'ai un point de livraison là. J'ai un petit point de livraison, mais ici. Ici, on n'a pas, hein, on est d'accord. Point de livraison ici. Hop là, j'en ai pas vu. J'en ai pas vu de point de livraison ici. Voilà, on va se casser. On se casse. Par contre c'est loin. Ah ouais c'est loin. C'est loin cette affaire. Faudrait que je trouve un point de livraison proche. Mais pas ici. Il faut un véhicule. Il va me falloir un véhicule encore. Il va me falloir un véhicule. Est-ce que j'ai des cassettes encore? Yes. Attends, j'en ai plein.
What do you mean? Those of your men who survived traveled far and wide. They fought throughout the world. In fact, they're part of the reason we have all these PFs now. Every one of them suffered their own phantom pain from losing you. Talking about you wherever they went helped to heal their wounds. Your actions and words, your legend, has been told on every battlefield they've set foot on. Obviously, as the tales have spread, the truth's been distorted, painted over. Big Boss sacrificed himself to show us the threat that Cypher poses. He sounded a warning, so it goes. A warning? Too much power destroys the hands that hold it. Apparently, you chose to be a living example of that. I never said any of that. The moment any truth is passed on, it starts turning into fiction. The problem is, fiction inspires people more than facts. To the world, you're now the legendary mercenary Big Boss. The lessons you've taught the PFs are the reason they're so widespread. They're the reason they've survived. And you know what they all aspire to? To one day go nuclear, just like you did. And stand up to Cypher. Of all the stupid things you could do. They'll never understand what you really wanted. Heroes are misunderstood. It takes a man of the same caliber to understand what drives them. Bottom line is, these guys want to be like their hero Big Boss. And deep down they all have their eyes on nuclear weapons. They say that a nuke is the only means of standing against Cypher. But these days it's becoming little more than... rally the troops and survive in a cutthroat business.
Currently, there are 3 major PFs who've expanded into Central Africa. CFA, Rogue Coyote, and Zero Risk Security. HEC's investigations have shown there's almost no overlap between their areas of operation. It's not so much a turf war, more like they have a gentleman's agreement. If you do cross to extract him, you probably won't have to face more than one at a time. Still, don't expect to walk in the park. The CFA, Contract Forces of Africa. These guys are a major player. Their head office is in Pretoria, South Africa.
That's also where the South African Defense Force is headquartered. We think the two are closely connected. An HEC investigation revealed that most of the CFA's operators are former SADF soldiers. South Africa has been locked in struggles with neighboring regimes for years. That means constant action, and we know better than anyone that's the best kind of training. A company drawing its recruits from hardened military vets. You can bet they know how to handle themselves. Do not underestimate them. Within the CFA is a company of soldiers made up mainly of locally hired operators. They speak Afrikaans to communicate with personnel from the CFA. But if you notice any speaking the local language, that's them. Though hired from the local population, they were originally part of a paramilitary group, so they'll have plenty of combat experience. And unlike their days shooting junkyard rifles out of beat-up pickup trucks, the CFA now supplies them with the latest gear from the West. On top of that, they've been trained by the South African Army. All that adds up to a much stronger fighting force. So don't brush them off. Look at the Angola's
on aura écouté toutes les cassettes comme ça avant d'arriver.
It's a microcosm of a problem that stretches all across Africa. There's a civil war going on in Angola, fought between the government MPLA and the Western-backed UNITA. Zaire is still a dictatorship under President Mobutu, but numerous uprisings have broken out in its remote regions. With all the trouble elsewhere keeping their hands full, neither government has control over their side of the border. They depend on militias and PFs, as do the rebels. Government forces, guerrillas, militants, groups of all shapes and sizes hawk whatever resources they can to hire PFs. Conflict brings PFs. PFs expand the war zone.
Finalement, je crois qu'on va s'arrêter là parce que ça va être trop long. Ça va être trop long, ça va être chiant. Ah, je me rappelais plus si c'était cette base. Cette base, elle est compliquée, il y a plein d'ennemis, ça va être chiant.
Analysis complete.
Si là, gueulé. Ah, je pense qu'on va s'arrêter là.
Analysis complete.
Je pense qu'on va s'arrêter là, les amis. Je vais juste faire une petite, enfin attendre une save. Je vais avancer quand même un peu. Ah, c'est du bon.
Analysis complete. Analysis complete.
Ah, désolé, j'aurais bien voulu terminer cette mission, mais là, ça va être trop long. Ah, voilà, c'est bon, on a une petite save. Ennemi repéré, tout ça. Ah, là-bas, bien vu. Vas-y, juste pour le petit kiff. Juste pour foutre le bordel avant de se laisser. Voilà. C'est juste histoire de... par contre, que ça save, il faut que je quitte avant que ça save, parce que j'ai pas envie de m'arrêter là-dessus. Retour à l'écran titre, vas-y. Ouais, désolé, j'aurais bien voulu terminer, mais là, il commence à se faire tard et moi je commence à fatiguer là. On verra ça, bah du coup, on se retrouve dans 2 jours finalement, pas demain. Demain, je vais essayer d'avancer un petit peu les quêtes secondaires. S'il se passe quelque chose, s'il y a une cinématique, j'arrêterai juste avant, histoire de vous la montrer dès que je reprendrai, bah du coup, mardi après-midi. Hop, quitter le jeu. Tac. Voilà. Bon, bah écoutez, j'espère que ça vous aura plu. On aura fait plein de boulettes, là, ça me gonfle. On aura fait plein de boulettes. C'était chaotique ce soir. Mais bon, je pense que c'est à cause de la fatigue. Bon, il n'y a pas que, je suis un gros débile aussi en même temps. Je fais plein de trucs débiles, mais ouais, il y a de la fatigue, il y a manque de concentration. Enfin voilà, c'était tout cumulé. Bref, et bah écoutez les amis, on se dit en tout cas demain pour la course de pré-saison, voilà, sur le jeu F1 22 pour la course de pré-saison du championnat F1RC by FCT. Donc ça sera à Monza sur sur le circuit de Monza en Italie. Ça va faire un petit moment que j'ai pas rejoué à F1 22, il va falloir que je me reprenne demain là, que je m'entraîne un petit peu, vite fait. Et du coup, bah, après, selon quand est-ce que je termine la course, bah du coup, je vous retrouverai pour le let's play de visage, voilà. Donc ça peut être comme à 21h30, comme ça peut être à 22h, 22h30, 23h, je sais pas. Ça dépendra quand est-ce que je termine la course. Voilà. Bah écoutez, oh, tiens, il m'a fait peur le chat. Il a éternué. Bref, bah écoutez, passez une bonne soirée, une bonne nuit. On se retrouve demain donc sur F1 22 et le jeu visage. Et donc mardi après-midi vers 13h30, 14h par là pour la suite du let's play de Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. Allez, ciao ciao.